Anna. Okay, Paul, moving on to your first question here today. I'm selling my house in order to buy a slightly larger one. I own this house outright and the new house is just 10k more, which I have in cash. However, would it be possible to apply for a buy-to-let mortgage on this house, so effectively buy it from myself, then rent it out and use the rent to pay the mortgage? Oh, that sounds confusing.
Good question. Yeah, the answer is yes. That they wouldn't need to buy it from themselves, though. They could retain their current ownership of the property and change the use of the property. The idea of remortgaging a home you already own to buy a new home is what's called let to buy.
Right, okay.
As opposed to buy to let, because you're letting to buy.
Yes.
It's quite often done for accidental landlords that can't sell their property or just want to keep their property, which I believe is over half the landlords in the UK. It is a consumer buy-to-let mortgage, and what that means is it's more highly regulated than your traditional business buy-to-let mortgage, because it is a previous home. And because that person, in the eyes of a lender, wouldn't necessarily be viewed as a business person or investor, because they've just kept their home as opposed to going out investing in property to make money.
Right.
But the answer is yes, they could do it. And in fact, it's probably a good idea because, you know, in my view, when it comes to investing in property, really the major benefit is the leverage, you know, the ability for mortgages. Cash bought buy to let is okay, but the returns aren't that great when you take into account costs and things. But when you account for the leverage, you know, the fact that you can borrow at pretty low interest rates at the moment, fairly high loan to values, and over the long term, that's where you can get quite good returns on the cash or equity in your properties.
Right.
So, you know, that person could do that, and by the sounds of it, they could probably end up with enough cash to maybe even get another buy-to-let.
Right.
So yes, you can do it. It is something definitely worth considering. Seek advice on what your options are, because it is a specialist type of buy-to-let mortgage, and you know, go about it in the right way to achieve the goals they're looking to achieve.
I suppose in what they're saying here, that the new house is just 10k more, it would seem crazy not to keep hold of the original property in the first place.
Yeah, well, you know, that it sounds like they said they've got the cash, so they could just buy the new one cash, but then they've got two debt-free properties, which in my opinion is an underutilisation of their resources.
Right.
You know, having good debt, you know, investment debt that helps you better utilise your money is a good thing. And it sounds like, given they've only got two properties, I don't know anything about the rest of their finances, but it sounds like they've probably got a bit of work to go to build an investable asset base to be financially free or comfortable. And by using debt, that's one way of accelerating that and, you know, making it happen quicker.
I suppose. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, Paul, there's one thing here that you did hit on it. I think people do have to understand that any kind of letting or investment activity is a business.
Yeah.
And as with any business, you've got to assess the risk. And if these people are relying on the rental from the first property to buy their home, i.e. the second property, then do think about voids, do think about the times when you don't have that rent coming in, perhaps in between tenancies, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Is it sustainable as far as your own finances are concerned?
It is a good point that I probably didn't mention enough, is they should assess whether that property they've bought as a home, an emotional purchase, is actually a good investment.